Okay, so I'm back with you. We're at the end of row 14. We're just about to place our last stitch in. So this time around we're changing it up because we'll be changing colour. So if you hook over once and go through, hook over, go through two. Stop at this point. This is where you add your next colour. So pop your loop over and finish off the stitch. And now we'll finish off the round by placing the slip stitch in the end at the top of the chain 3. There we go, nice clean colour change. Welcome back. Now we're coming up to the end of row 17. So all we've got left to do now is do a slip stitch to close up the round. Now I like to loop over and pull it through and then pull up a reasonable amount of thread before cutting off. So pull up a reasonable amount for sewing in and then cut off. There we go. So now you've finished this one, what I do suggest is that you put yourself a little stitch marker at the front of your work, because that will make it easier for the next section. But before we get to that next section, I'm going to need you to make another one of these circles exactly the same way, and then but when you get to the end of that one, do not cut your thread. I will meet you back here when you've finished it. See you soon. Right, so you've now got your two panels. The first one I would say is now's the best time to sew in all your loose ends. Now where I join my two colours here, I've tied a knot and I'll be sewing the pink to the pink and the white to the white in a few moments, and then that's all of my ends sewn in. Then step 2 is to place another stitch counter, okay, on your front panel. If you count forward from where you finished, count forward 44 stitches and place a stitch marker in there. And then on your back panel, count back from your last stitch 44 and place a stitch marker in there. You'll get it. You'll understand why I've asked you to do this when we get to the next point. See you in a moment. Okay, so now we've done all the sewing in. I'm back with you now. I've laid my work out so my panels, the front sections of each of the panels, are facing each other. This is why I said about popping on your stitch marker, because it makes it so much easier to find. Okay, so now what we do is you pop your loop from your back panel back onto your working hook, line your work up. Now we will be taking, let's hope we can see this clearly, so we are going to go in through the back loop of the front panel and out through the front loop of the back panel, hook over, pull through, finish it off as a slip stitch. So it's in through the back loop of the front panel and out through the front loop of the back panel. Pull the loop through and finish off as a slip. Again, that's in through the back loop of the front panel and out through the front loop of the back panel, and finish it off as a slip stitch. In through the front, the back loop of the front panel and out through the front loop of the back panel, and finish off as a slip stitch. We just keep doing the same thing all the way round until you get to your markers. I'll meet you back there in a little while. Now, I know some of us like to take the covers off of our cushions and shove them in the wash rather than putting the whole thing in the machine. So to make a open close, right, so into our first stitch we are going to do a half double crochet. Then we're going to work our way along with double crochets. Okay, for a count of 40. Once you've done that on this side, meet me back here for your last stitch. Okay, so before you do the main part of this, you want to work out whereabouts you're placing your buttons and pop little markers in the stitch below as to where you want the markers, the buttonholes to be. So to create the buttonhole, we are going to just chain one, skip one, and then do your half double crochet into the next. And that will give you plenty of room, hopefully, to squeeze through your button as long as it's not too big. Okay, and we're just going to keep working along until you get to your next buttonhole section. And remember, it's chain one, skip one, half double crochet in the next one. And it's that simple. Okay, I'll see you at the end of the section. Right, so you finished that whole section, added in your buttonholes, and now it's just a case of placing a half double crochet in that very last stitch of your work. Now what I like to do is be a little bit cheeky when I tie off my work. Oh, where's my scissors? Give myself enough to sew in, pull up my yarn, grab my darning needle, pop it on. Yes, Pip, I know you're there. And then I will bring my yarn back down into my work, which will then pull it down so it resembles the same as the other side. And that's when I can then tie off my yarn and weave in my ends. I'll meet you back here shortly. Okay, so for your button placement, what you're going to want to do is line up your buttonholes with the last row here of your double crochet. Okay, and once it's lined up and you know exactly where you need to place your buttons, attach your buttons to these stitches. Okay, everybody's got different ways to attach buttons, so I'm not actually going to show you, and I haven't actually got any half decent sized ones. I've only got those little diddly ones that you use for hats at the moment. So it's going to be another one of them projects that sits on the bed that's not quite finished. But anyway, once you've attached your buttons here, it's just a case of putting all the extra bits on and then popping your stuffing in or your cushion in and closing up. Hiya. Right, my main issue is that I didn't have a round insert to put in. I have literally only got a square. So to get around that, I cheekily cut the corner, pulled out the stuffing from each of the four corners, stuck it inside the pillow, and then have basically sat there and shaped the stuffing inside the case to ensure that it's as round as I can get it. And then I've just sewn the end, sewn the hole that I'd originally cut into the case. Hopefully that'll give you an idea on what you can do if you haven't got a round pillow.